So, today we're going to talk a lot about innovation, and we think about, the marketers that came before us, let's call it 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The marketing toolkit they were working with was TV, print, out of home, the emergence of digital, et cetera. Today we've emerged into gaming and influencers and metaverse and NFTs and all of this. How do you think as marketers we first can even stay on top of all of the choices that are in front of us and to know what to do with them before we even dive into if they're the right or the wrong thing for your brand?
Yeah, I'll jump in first on that one. I think you've just got to have a culture of experimentation because I've said this forever, right? If you go way, way back, the newspaper was going to, kill word of mouth. Radio was going to kill the newspaper. Television was going to kill radio. The internet's going to kill television. And the reality is almost all these things stay around for long lifespans. Now they may lose share of advertising dollars and so forth, but ultimately as a marketer, our job is to go where the eyeballs are. And wherever the eyeballs are focused, ideally at an efficient rate, is where we want to put ourselves. And you can only figure that out in these new platforms by experimenting. And I mean, I think that like a great strategy we've tried to do is pounce on early social media channels that you have no idea if they're going to take off or not. So in the last 3 years, if you pounced on Clubhouse and TikTok and Snapchat and House Party and a bunch of others, you'll be bummed that you spent that money on Clubhouse and House Party, but you'll be really excited if you built an early presence on TikTok and Snapchat. And so I just think that is kind of the approach you have to be taking, is always experimenting and being out there, because that's where eyeballs are going. And NFTs and crypto, we'll see about some of that. Certainly a lot of that stuff won't pan out that much, and some of it will pan out in a huge way. And gaming's clearly here to stay, right? So that's something, it's already gotten super expensive. So it's just constant experimentation, I think, with that.
Yeah, I would add to that I think, certainly experimentation is key, and that can be in a new channel or an existing channel. Experimenting with new creative execution in a channel you've been using forever can still be valuable. Going after a new segment in a channel you've already been using can be valuable. I think in terms of appetite for trying the latest and greatest, it can also depend a lot on what audience you're dealing with. If you're Shake Shack and you're a part of a cultural zeitgeist, I think the burden to be on TikTok or the latest and greatest may be very different than if you are marketing a B2B software, as an example, and your decision maker is the procurement manager. So I think it depends a lot on who are we really talking to and what perception are we trying to get across. Some of it also, I think, depends on where you are in the life cycle of building marketing sophistication. If I said that every company I deal with had exhausted what was possible in the traditional channels and was ready to be on the bleeding edge, that wouldn't really be true. And so, I try to maintain a balance of experimentation that helps us figure out what's coming next, with a, kind of blocking and tackling centric approach that says, like, well, do we really have the fundamentals in place? And if we were to succeed in X, Y, or Z new platform, how big could that really be today? And that tempers sometimes my appetite for experimentation. There are, I think, situations, based on the audience and your sophistication, where sometimes letting others blaze the path and then picking up the best practices as quickly as you can, while less sexy, may be what's called for if you're laser focused on driving a certain result.